SAP and Microsoft probably are the only companies that have really deep capabilities in these two areas. Even for CRM, and Salesforce is going to rely on a lot of add-ons for these capabilities.
So, how does this SAP CRM system? How does it do in the marketplace? Has it been very successful?
Not very successful. You are not going to find as many logos. They are going to be successful in slightly more e-commerce verticals.
Growing a business requires a holistic approach that extends beyond sales and marketing. This approach needs alignment among people, processes, and technologies. So if you're a business owner, operations, or finance leader looking to learn growth strategies from your peers and competitors, you're tuned into the right podcast. Welcome to the WBS Podcast, where scalable growth using business systems is our number one priority. Now, here is your host, Sam Gupta.
Hello everyone, welcome to today's show. And if you're joining for the first time, this is part of our industry series for which we meet every Tuesday at 2 p.m. Eastern. We review one vendor or the solution. And for today, we have one solution from the CRM community. They are part of the SAP portfolio. SAP may not be known as the CRM vendor, but they have very deep capabilities. So that's what we are going to discuss today. Before we start reviewing, we are going to start with everybody's intros. I am going to start with my quick intro. Sam Gupta, principal at Elevate IQ. Elevate IQ is the independent ERP, CRM, digital transformation consulting firm. On that note, Andy, would you like to introduce yourself?
I would love to, and thank you so much, Sam, for always inviting me. It's awfully nice of you. My name's Andy Pratico. I've been involved in ERP software for small to mid-sized manufacturers basically all my life. I've worked all over North America. I lived in the U.S. for 11 years, although I'm in Vancouver now. I'm Canadian, and I've written a book and published a book on how to help companies uncover the truth about ERP software before they buy. And as a matter of fact, next week on August 13th, I've got a podcast which any of you are welcome to attend.
Okay, amazing. And guys, Andy
At noon on August 13th.
And note down the time. Andy does a wonderful job, in doing his webinar. So definitely something to attend. Thank you so much, Andy, once again for joining. Shrestha, do you want to introduce yourself next?
Yeah, thank you, Sam. Hello, everybody. My name is Shrestha Das, and I'm part of the marketing team at Elevate IQ. And I'm super excited to be part of the conversation today.
Okay, amazing. Thank you so much, guys, once again for joining. And if you're in the audience and joining for the first time, make sure you guys post your questions, comments, stories, anything that you might be able to share. We generally utilize them during our review. And if you have any questions, we generally try to cover them during the episode itself. If we run out of time, we'll make sure that you guys receive your answers. On that note, guys, I'm going to start with the quick briefing of this solution. I'll move to the first slide. We are going to be touching a lot of different points, and I think you missed the last one. So Microsoft was a very busy session. We had a lot of folks from the Microsoft as well, and we were debating a lot of things from the marketing automation.
They didn't all agree with us.
So that's what we are going to touch on this one as well. Now, once they review this, then, they will know why we sort of believe that there's a play for both. Marketing automation is a very different capability, and SAP is going to have similar capabilities. I can almost guarantee that when they are going to hear this presentation, they are going to feel that SAP does not have the same capabilities as the Microsoft. But for the most part, if you look at the customer data platform, SAP is equally deep there as well. Maybe deeper than some of the mainstream CRM vendors. So, we are going to have a lot of fun discussing that. So let's start.
Now, this is the CRM that's built in or works with S/4HANA, correct?
No. So this is definitely so they obviously have a CRM. Embedded is probably the right term.
Right.
If I could use that. So when you look at the CRM module of an ERP, that is supposed to be very tightly connected, meaning the data is sitting in the same database.
Same database, single customer records, things like that.
Exactly. So you are going to have some sort of connectivity, traceability, from the ERP workflow perspective. But the intent of CRM, when we say CRM is not meant to be embedded with your ERP processes. In some industries, you might need that, but the disconnected state of CRM has very different utility, very different utilization. That's why we have the CRM market, which is completely different. Okay, and SAP does have very strong CRM offering, okay, which is obviously they sell it as part of the SAP S4 HANA suite, but SAP S4 HANA suite is the entire enterprise architecture. It's not just ERP. And a lot of major vendors, especially if you look at the top three, top four, they have solution footprint pretty much for every single category of enterprise software. They might have 80% of the capabilities. Sometimes they might be working with other add-on providers, but for the most part, they can supply the entire enterprise architecture. And in your enterprise architecture, you are going to have components such as your ERP, supply chain suite. We have done a lot of sessions on those. You are going to have analytics suite, which has a completely different purpose than your ERP CRM. Then you are obviously going to have the CRM suite as well. So in this particular case, Andy, just to clarify again, this is a completely disconnected CRM offering. SAP acquired these solutions over the period of time. So this is not something that SAP created themselves. SAP was primarily known for creating their own products, but they were behind in the cloud. They were mainly known for the on-prem capabilities. Even today, if you look at their ERP capabilities, they are far deeper, as on-prem solution. They are not as deep in the cloud. But I would say this is probably, if you look at their best of breed SaaS offerings, that's probably a $30 billion business by itself, I believe. 30 billion with a B. Okay, so that's how big this is. And they acquired some major companies, from the market, such as your Hybris. That's how they started in these capabilities. They acquired companies such as Qualtrics, which was humongous. Calidus Cloud, Immerses, Giga. These are major, enterprise software company, one of the leading cloud providers, I would say. And then SAP ended up acquiring those, and that's how they created the whole architecture. So this is all part of the CRM suite. They have suites pretty much for other offerings as well. For example, ECM, supply chain, etc. But this is part of the CRM suite. And today we are focusing on CRM, Customer Experience Suite. So overall, if you look at the way these guys have positioned, branded, this is very similar to Salesforce, HubSpot, probably Adobe. They have very similar positioning strategy of the CRM suite. Microsoft is the only company that has taken slightly different direction in naming those or their products that are part of the CRM suite. SAP has had their own problems in general. The way they have evolved these offerings, they have changed the names at least 3 or 4 times. And the whole idea was to compete with Salesforce, but they are still not able to compete with Salesforce in general. But they ended up creating. I mean, this is the whole new category that was created to compete with the CRM vendors. So that's why SAP is trying to offer very similar, offering. Oracle has very similar offerings as well. So again, as of today, it's called SAP Customer Experience. They had rebranded this as SAP C4 HANA because they wanted to sell HANA's capabilities a lot more, but that probably didn't go anywhere, I guess. So they ended up changing it to SAP Customer Experience, which is obviously very deep in general. Now, overall, from the market share perspective, their market share is going to be primarily focused on enterprise logos. That's where they have the volume penetration. For the most part, these are all very enterprise grade offerings. So here, if you look at the some of the other competing solutions, Salesforce are going to have very similar offerings. Salesforce, I don't know how deep they are into the customer data platform capabilities. Salesforce ended up acquiring some of the e-commerce capabilities as well. They didn't have e-commerce capabilities originally. For the most part, if you look at SAP Customer Experience, that is primarily utilized in the e-commerce centric, spaces, and that's why their acquisitions, even the CX ones or the CRM ones, were very e-commerce like, if I could use that term. So here, I guess, overall, the capabilities, at least from the pillar perspective, which you are going to have, sales cloud, marketing cloud, customer service cloud, contact center cloud, field service cloud, all of those capabilities, pretty much every single CRM player, has in the market, including your SAP and Oracle. They have fairly decent CRM capabilities. Even Infor tried to do that. These days, I don't think they sell best of breed CRM. The only places where they are selling CRM is going to be the places where they have their own ERP. Otherwise, they don't go head to head with Salesforce. The large majority of CRM ERP vendors have realized that it's not worth going, after CRM market. So here's a little bit of background overall. So here the whole thing started with the Hybris acquisition, and Hybris was primarily the e-commerce platform, and that's how they got the commerce capabilities. But the SAP had their own CRM capabilities, in on-prem, which was more of the module ND, I would say, in the traditional days, But now the cloud product is slightly more disconnected, and that is very similar to your Salesforce product. And then after that, they acquired many different products. For example, Cladis Cloud, Qualtrics. For the most part, these acquisitions were not very successful in general, and that's why I don't know whether you guys followed the story or not. They ended up sort of spinning off the whole Qualtrics business. Yes, they are still very tightly aligned with that, but SAP does not have the same alignment with Qualtrics as it used to be when they acquired the solution. Then Giga Immerses. Immerses, in my mind, would be a very similar product as Customer Insights from Microsoft, which is known for the whole customer data platform as well as the journeys, especially when you talk about the omni-channel journeys. And that's where the real play is. So a lot of vendors in the market, even though they might claim that they are omni-channel, but the omni-channel workflows would require capabilities such as your Giga, because then you have to sort of do the whole matching piece overall from the ID perspective, the kind of workflows that we saw with Microsoft Customer Insights. So Giga is going to have very similar capabilities. And here you are trying to match your customer profiles together. Sometimes they are going to provide partial details, and you sort of don't know whether you have the connected state of the customer across all of your channels. That becomes very complex in general when you are going to look at those enterprise-centric use cases. That's where SAP has very deep capabilities in that. Now Microsoft is developing those capabilities as well. So Microsoft is sort of trying to catch up with SAP, but the real difference is Microsoft actually developed these products by themselves, versus SAP, who acquired these capabilities. In general, SAP used to create a lot more products, in the past, but lately they ended up acquiring a lot more to get these capabilities. So different play, different strategy, but as such, from the capabilities perspective, they are fairly similar. Overall, from the competing technologies perspective, CRM vendors, Salesforce is going to have very similar capabilities. But again, SAP's focus is going to be slightly more, e-commerce centric spaces. That's where their sweet spot is. From the B2C, B2B, when you are going to have those configurator centric architecture, and that configurator needs to reside inside your e-commerce layer as opposed to residing inside your ERP layer. So different take in terms of how SAP sees this market, but that's the approach that even Salesforce is going to take, for the configurator-centric business models. Microsoft is going to be very different. Microsoft is not as deeply penetrated into manufacturing-centric spaces, especially when you look at those configurator-driven processes. They are probably going to rely on the third-party add-ons. So that's a very, very, very different approach overall, even though they are going to have the customer insights product, but that is not going to have the same architecture. And from their perspective, they are targeting slightly different industries. Oracle also targets very different industries, even though they are going to have CPQ product just like SAP, but the CPQ product is going to be slightly different. They have a real marketing automation product as part of their portfolio. I don't know how omni-channel that is, and Oracle is sort of moving away from e-commerce like spaces, the kind of realignment that they have done from the organization perspective. So Oracle is not necessarily targeting the same verticals that SAP is trying to target, from the CRM CX perspective. And HubSpot, I don't think they are really in the enterprise space, so they are going to be slightly more SMB. And even though they are going to say that they are omnichannel, but they don't have the kind of capabilities that Microsoft and SAP is going to have. And then you have Zoho, which is again very SMB player. It's a very small product in general. The kind of data silos that you are going to have inside their suite, each of the app is slightly disconnected. With SAP Microsoft, you are looking at slightly more connected state of all of the products. So very different design, very different architecture, very different product in general. And then some of the other competitors, such as your marketing automation, we have touched on Active Campaign, Adobe, but they are only covering just one piece of the pie. SAP, Salesforce, etc. They are able to provide a lot more out of the box as part of the suite. Then we have the field service, and I don't know how penetrated SAP is in the field services spaces and how deep they are in their field service capabilities. In general, your IFS, Microsoft, they are going to be far more penetrated. In fact, if you notice some of the logos where companies are going to have SAP as their ERP, but for field service, they might use Salesforce. Sometimes they might use IFS as well. But SAP does have some capabilities there. In fact, Microsoft is going to have far deeper capabilities compared to your SAP. And then you have the contact center, which is a very unique play. So even SAP is going to claim that they have a lot of capabilities from the contact center perspective. But if you are going to be heavy in your call centers, then probably this is not the right fit. Microsoft is probably going to have slightly deeper capabilities, and that's why the spaces that they are targeting are slightly different. So here, from the SAP's perspective, the industries that you're going to notice where they have the highest penetration is probably going to be e-commerce, retail, manufacturing. I would say manufacturing and B2B is going to be a lot more focus for SAP, the kind of data model that they have, the kind of product offerings that they have, compared to your Oracle, Microsoft, which seem to have a lot more retail, e-commerce centric presence. So SAP is where you are going to have business models where you have a lot of manufacturing, a lot of distribution. And then you're going to notice some of the logos in the travel, hospitality centric industries as well. But again, in the cloud, I don't know how deep they are in their processes. So if they are using this only for the e-commerce omni-channel centric experience, only for certain use cases, then it could make sense. But they are not going to have as deep suite for those industries as some of their competitors. Okay, so this is the slide coming from IBM's website. Obviously, IBM is one of the largest reseller and the consulting company for SAP, and they focus on CX as well. So here, this is coming from IBM. So the IBM is saying Hybris, the company that would become SAP CX. So they started with Hybris, and this was all the whole e-commerce play. And IBM has some products as part of their suite as well, especially if you look at, I think they have PIM, DAM, and they used to have the e-commerce platform. And I don't know if they are still carrying, I think they sold it to the company called ACL. So they no longer own the commerce product. So maybe they are selling Hybris a lot more, as opposed to selling their own product. But here they are saying the commentary, that this would become SAP CX, but Hybris is not the only piece. There are many other pieces that is part of that CX core. So here they are saying in the next decade, the omni-channel e-commerce platform became well known for its advanced business-to-business capabilities, and they are positioning it as more of the business-to-business as well. And that would be my take as well, that this was designed more for B2B centric, spaces, especially if you talk about deep e-commerce capabilities. SAP, among the leading enterprise, planning companies in the world, acquired Hybris in 2013 and rebranded it to SAP Hybris. So that was that rebranding until 2015. SAP Hybris and the on-premises SAP Customer Relationship Management (CRM) platform were both operated under the company's umbrella. So this is how their CRM solution was. But then the whole SAP S/4HANA shift, the architecture is very different. They took out all of the pieces that needed to be best of breed. So now SAP S/4HANA, even though you might feel that that's an ERP, but it's the whole architecture. So SAP S/4HANA takes very different approach overall to their ERP workflows, and a lot of other vendors in the market are trying to follow very similar approach as well. So in 2015, SAP started SAP S/4HANA, the ERP giant's next generation database, and began, moving to its core lines of business to the new platform. Now, it soon acquired several third-party CRM solutions, and they are bundling this as CRM solutions, and these all are unique pieces or the capabilities of the whole CRM suite. And in general, the CRM suite these days is very thick as well in terms of the kind of capabilities it carries. So here they are talking about core systems. You have Caritas Cloud, you have Giga, and then in 2018, SAP announced SAP C4 HANA, its flagship customer experience management platform. So this was the rebranding when Bill was there. He was the CEO. At that time he was trying to compete with Salesforce, but then I think they changed their strategy and they ended up renaming it to SAP Customer Experience. So then they are saying that also the corporation acquired Qualtrics, a cloud-based experience management company, later that year. In 2020, the company rebranded SAP C4 HANA as SAP Customer Experience. And SAP Customer Experience today, that's what they call the whole CRM suite. And until that point, I don't think they had the real marketing automation capabilities. So I don't know where you draw the line between your marketing automation and customer data platform. Uh, they both seem to have very similar capabilities. Maybe customer data platform is slightly more superset of the marketing automation platform. But in my mind, I think these are two completely different offerings. So they are saying that they acquired a cloud-based omni-channel marketing platform that would be integrated into the SAP CRM platform. So this is how SAP became very similar to Microsoft. Microsoft right now is trying to catch up with SAP with these capabilities in my mind. And then they are talking about these pillars can be deployed alongside other SAP solutions like SAP Field Service Management, providing mobile tools to field technicians. So they have a little, field service capabilities as well. And I don't know if that is the module or the best of breed solution, but seems like this is going to be best of breed as well. I don't know how sophisticated their cloud offerings are as of today, but again, this is going to be a very similar architecture as what Salesforce is trying to do, what Microsoft is trying to do overall from their offering perspective. Even Oracle has very, very, very similar CX suite as well. CPQ is one of the enterprise grade that they have. And I think this came from Caritas Cloud, if I remember correctly, a tool to code complex business offerings. But each of the CPQ is going to be unique to a business process. So depending upon where CPQ was a fit, those are the industries that you can probably conclude that that's where they are going to be probably winning the most overall from their CX offering perspective. Now, we have some comments here. They are talking about SAP Marketing Cloud. The SAP Marketing Cloud facilitates all business needs related to earning and retaining customers. And do you have a comment?
Yeah, I was just wondering, is the CPQ product built into the CRM or is it optional? Oh, okay.
So this is a SaaS product that SAP had acquired. So this was completely separate product. Now this is going to be integrated with their CX suite, but it was always sort of the best of breed product they acquired and integrated with SAP. SAP CX suite, not the ERP suite.
I see.
Yeah, that's where architecturally SAP takes a very different approach, and that's how the large majority of the, I would say, companies would take the approach. They are definitely going to have some sort of CRM, and generally CPQ resides inside CRM as opposed to residing inside your ERP layer, because ERP becomes too bloated for sales and marketing team to be able to use. So they are trying to disconnect, this more in the best of breed architecture. So whatever SAP is doing, that's exactly what Salesforce is doing, because they have a lot of enterprise workloads as well. Oracle probably would have very similar approach. Infor takes slightly different approach. And the reason why that is because mid-market is going to have very different expectations. Sometimes the manufacturing companies, they don't use best of breed CRM because that becomes expensive. And manufacturing is a different business in general. Sometimes the CPQ needs to be very tightly integrated with your engineering suite as well, with your PLM. So that's why it's different. SAP sort of does business in that, but if you're going to be very heavy in manufacturing, I don't know how you would do that with your Salesforce plus PLM. even though Salesforce is going to have some offerings there, but they are not necessarily best of breed PLM. And if you're going to be a very heavy engineering shop where you are going to be using very complex PLM, very complex CAD footprint, then Salesforce is going to struggle a lot in general. Yeah. So again, depending upon the industry, depending upon the use case, the architecture could vary. And I don't think SAP is targeting those verticals where you are going to have CPQ very highly intertwined with your ERP as well as engineering suite processes. Yeah. Here, then they have the SAP Commerce Cloud, and that's why there's the whole CX offering is very closely aligned with the commerce verticals as well. SAP was very well penetrated in distribution centric, 3PL centric spaces. That's where they are really strong. So that's why they have the Hybris, and this is where your B2B, especially B2B commerce spaces, that's where your ERP processes need to be very thick and very tightly aligned with your CPQ as well as your CRM processes, and that's why SAP does really well in those spaces. So here they are seeing SAP CX Commerce Cloud is focused on product management and e-commerce solutions. Okay, it provides solutions for order management and is designed to streamline product content and experience management. Again, that is all slightly more retail, but B2B retail, I would say, not B2C retail. So here they are saying product management, but product management could mean a lot of different things as well. So here, when they say product management, that is all very distribution centric product management in my mind. Then they have the SAP Customer Data Cloud, and the SAP Customer Data Cloud allows organizations to collect information from customers securely and ethically. The secure collection of personal data through online forms and allows users to control their information in compliance with GDPR, and any spaces where you are going to have very strong GDPR policies and you are going to be penalized because of that, that's where SAP is really strong. So SAP is going to be really strong in places where you have very heavy compliance regulations, even for your operational processes. For example, medical device, they require very controlled processes in general, in terms of the compliance reporting, and that's where SAP is going to be really strong. When you have to do the customer experience, which is going to be more from B2B, B2C perspective, but you also have a lot of regulatory burden that you need to meet and comply with. That's where SAP is really, really, really strong. If you guys don't have any other comments, I'll keep going here. Then they are saying SAP Sales Cloud. SAP Sales Cloud provides solutions for sales teams. It deploys AI to forecast sales and inventory requirements. And this is where SAP is going to have the SNOP solution as well. So that's why they are going to be slightly deeper, I would say, in the supply chain centric spaces. For example, let's say if you look at Microsoft, Microsoft is going to rely on a third-party solution for SNOP. So they are not necessarily present in those SNOP centric spaces. That's where SAP is really strong. Even Oracle is probably not going to be present there, even though they have some SNOP offering, but they are not as deep into that. They are not as committed, for that specific product. Then you have SAP Service Cloud. SAP Service Cloud manages and organizes, service requests from social media messages to call center conversations. I don't know how deep they are going to be in the call center operations. That's where you would have companies such as your Salesforce, which are going to be far stronger. Even Microsoft has far deeper capabilities now from the call center operations perspective. And that's where, let's say, if you're an insurance company, bank company, SAP's scope in those industries is going to be limited to just the financial reporting, and everything else is done by Workdays of the world, ServiceNow, maybe Salesforces of the world, and Microsoft as well. Microsoft has very deep penetration in those spaces. Now, so this is coming from their offering page, and here we have some of the offerings. For example, they have bucketed this under, you have SAP Commerce Cloud Solutions, which is your Hybris. They have re-commerce as well. Now, re-commerce is a very different play in general. Not many commerce solutions in the market have re-commerce capabilities. So these are very, very, very complicated, commerce scenarios. And Oracle is going to be really strong in the retail verticals as well, but again, they are not going to be as strong in the B2B. Microsoft does not necessarily have as much presence in the e-commerce, verticals. Their presence is going to be primarily limited to service-centric verticals, etc. So everybody has their own sort of sweet spot, and the architecture varies substantially, I would say. When you move from one industry to the micro verticals. Then you have customer data, and customer data is going to be relevant to any of the industries that are going to have many channels, and they are trying to build that customer 360. They are trying to do the personalization campaigns. So for brands, it's going to be substantially meaningful. And then you also have the regulatory requirements. I don't think any of the solutions that are going to claim that they are really omni-channel, capable. But when you look at the whole regulatory, compliance workflows, for example, from the medical device pharma perspective, that's where they are going to struggle. They are not going to be able to do all of that, and that's where SAP is really strong. SAP Customer Identity and Access Management, and this is again more from the commerce perspective. That's a very different identity integration across the channels, and that's exactly what Microsoft is trying to build as of today. And they were arguing that they are developing a lot of capabilities. This is exactly what they are doing. SAP already has all of these capabilities through acquisitions. And then you have SAP Immersive, customer engagement, and this is the, in my mind, this would be more of the CDP product, as opposed to a real marketing automation. But everybody is claiming that they have the marketing automation project capabilities as well. And this is going to be more from the omni-channel journey perspective. When you have to do omni-channel personalized journey, you have those enterprise use cases. That's where these capabilities are going to be really relevant. They have positioned this as more of the customer service, but then you have the field service as well. But again, I don't think they are going to be as strong in general from the customer service perspective, especially if you look at all of those deep call center centric workflows. SAP is probably not going to be as strong there. Sales automation, they are going to be really strong here. This is coming from Caritas Cloud, which was very heavily penetrated in general from the CPQ perspective in the enterprise space. So SAP is going to be really strong there as well. And then obviously everybody's talking about AI, but what that does is what matters. Okay, so we have some comments here. So we have comment from Anders. Hearing the description, my understanding is it can do everything, connect to everything, works everywhere. Do they provide any guidance for where it's great fit and where it's not? I mean, again, it's not in vendors' best interest to provide that guidance. They are trying to sell. It's up to the buyer whether they want to buy or not. So again, if you're the buyer, you need to do your own due diligence to find that out. Now, here we have some more comments. So this is coming from customer relationship management built with first party. And you are going to hear these terms: first party, third party, and these are the integrations that we reviewed, during our Microsoft review as well. That they were talking about first party data, third party data, and then you have to integrate, enrich all of this. And these are very deep intertwined CRM workflows that get very deep in general, with your marketing automation, omni-channel centric traceability perspective. So these guys are talking about that as well, built with first party structured and known data attributes that are going to be unknown as well. Okay, so that's where they are really strong. Customer profile in a customer relationship management system includes the operational details business need to understand customers and prospects during a sales process. Structured and known data provide only a small slice of the overall view, and that's exactly what Microsoft is trying to do as well. Combining all of these data sources. The explosion of unstructured and anonymous data has outpaced the CRM system's ability to consolidate customer information effectively. And this is where the whole Giga immerses these capabilities are really strong in that whole omni-channel traceability connectivity, because when you are going to be on these siloed CRM platforms where the only thing they can understand is the known data, sometimes it's very hard to integrate the customer profile because you are primarily relying on cookies to be able to connect the customer profiles. But there is a real risk with number one cookie, and sometimes customers don't even enable that. So you have more challenges in aggregating this information, matching. So you need to have far more intelligent engine to be able to aggregate, connect, this data, and that's exactly what Microsoft is building. SAP has those capabilities as well for the real omni-channel experience. Then they are talking about, yes, they do not address an enterprise's need for omni-channel engagement throughout the entire customer journey. I think they are talking about marketing solutions. They are saying that these marketing solutions don't address the need for the omni-channel. So if you want the true omni-channel experience, SAP has those capabilities. Then you have the CIAM solution, which is going to be your customer identity and access management. And this access management is going to be from the privacy compliance GDPR. If you are going to be selling in Europe, you probably want to take care of this because there are heavy penalties, and that's where SAP is really strong. These smaller solutions will not be able to do this. So you have complete freedom in terms of how you want to control your information. You can create your profile just like social media, and then you are connecting all of those profiles across the brand. So you have the centralized traceability of customers' preferences, and then sometimes you are able to allow your customers without even logging in. And that's how sometimes, I mean, when you interact with brands and you are going to get all of these magic links, how are they getting those magic links? They are coming from solutions like this. Again, very powerful capability in general. From the customer experience perspective, collecting first party customer data, building rich profiles, fueling digital engagement systems across the organization. But these solutions do not natively address the variety of customer data available, such as your anonymous, offline, second party, third party, and experience data. Okay, so again, in my mind, I think SAP and Microsoft probably are the only companies that have really deep capabilities in these two areas. Even for CRM, and Salesforce is going to rely on a lot of add-ons for these capabilities.
So how does this SAP CRM system, how does it do in the marketplace? Has it been very successful?
Not very successful. You are not going to find as many logos. They are going to be successful in slightly more e-commerce verticals. But people or the companies that prefer slightly more modern e-commerce solutions that are going to have preference for, let's say, headless is the term, then they don't use Hybris anymore because that becomes very bloated from the IT perspective. But again, once you, depending upon who is driving the business processes, is it driven by developer or IT, or is it driven by finance and compliance? So when you are going to be in very regulated industries, these things matter. You need to have these capabilities. You need to make sure that all of your systems are going to be connected in compliance with GDPR, because GDPR is going to have substantial penalty, right? So then CFO sort of becomes powerful because they need to take care of all of these things. So depending upon who's driving it, I guess, and the architecture. But here, data management platforms, so they are talking about DMPs, enable the creation of target audiences based on in-depth first and third-party audience data. But Andy, to answer your question, Calidus Cloud, Gigya, these were very heavily penetrated in the enterprise space, and that's why SAP sort of acquired these solutions, because they wanted to go deeper. Customers were already using those. So, these are a lot of logos for SAPs to be able to penetrate. So initially, they were all very cloud native solutions. They were sort of playing along with your Salesforces of the world, but then SAP acquired it. So now it's tightly integrated with SAP portfolio. Data management platforms enable the creation of target audiences based on in-depth first and third-party audience data. And this would be your customer insights product from Microsoft, customer data management platform. They are calling it DMP, but CDP, it's very similar. And then they are talking about across third-party ad networks and exchanges. And that's where, when you are going to be spending billions and millions of dollars in advertising, that's where you need the traceability, omnichannel traceability. So you are talking about those kind of capabilities, especially if you're going to have billions and millions of dollars in revenue and hundreds of millions of dollars in your marketing spend. That's where you really need to understand your audience and understand your marketing, spend. That's where SAP and Oracle, they are really deep in these categories. System of insights, so they have used very similar verbiage for this as well. So they are saying system of insight. This type of CDP is principally concerned with managing customer data, creating a common information model, segmenting customers, and analyzing and activating data. It is similar to CRM and master data management. Again, whatever Microsoft is doing is this. It's not necessarily marketing automation. They are selling it as marketing automation, at least their team. But the whole customer insights product is this. It is meant to be more of the CDP. And then you have the systems of engagement as well. Systems of engagement is where you are going to have the real marketing automation capabilities. So this type maintains a real-time customer profile and is mostly concerned with making sure the right customers get the right message, offer, and action in real time. It is similar to journey management, and they had used a term journey as well, or real-time interaction management (RTIM) systems. This type is great for creating personalized engagement at scale. Again, when you get into the depth of personalization, that's where SAP is really strong. I'll keep moving unless you guys have some comments. Okay, system for the enterprise. The third type covers an enterprise strength offering. In this type of CDP, pure data management capabilities are structurally intertwined with the systems that deliver engagement, which is going to be your marketing, commerce, service, and others. Okay, some companies have used just the marketing and service. For example, let's say if you go to HubSpot, they are probably going to have marketing and service. They don't necessarily have the commerce, footprint as much. This is going to be across all of those, pillars, which is going to be your commerce plus marketing plus service as well. Um, Microsoft is going to have the marketing and service. They are not going to have commerce. They rely on third-party add-ons for their commerce, so it's not going to be as tightly embedded experience. Salesforce is going to have marketing. They are going to have commerce. They are going to have service. So again, SAP, Oracle, Salesforce, they probably have very similar capabilities, especially from the CX perspective. It provides an infrastructure where a persistent customer profile and the ability to activate it is the foundation for a company's CX technology stack. It solves the problem of siloed data, provisions, and incredibly rich customer profile. And again, that's exactly what Microsoft is trying to do. Makes machine learning smarter and helps drive experiences at scale across every single touch point. Then some more comments. It renders many CDPs in the market as point solutions and transforms the way brands connect. Backend systems such as your ERP to front-end systems such as your CRM, marketing, and e-commerce, which is right. So this is not just the module, Andy. This is a very different suite that is sitting on top of your ERP. Customer data unification, and that's where the real power is. Personalized experiences require brands to know who their customers are and have the rich context of their data. SAP's customer data platform collects and connects, customer data around a foundational identity. And again, this is exactly what Microsoft is trying to do with deterministic and probabilistic. That's again, they had all of those capabilities as well. Identity resolution rules. And a comprehensive view of customers containing the interactions, events, transactions, products purchased, and data about them from anonymous stages to fully known and brand advocates. So again, big deal, guys, from the omnichannel perspective. High data availability, this is a big deal as well, especially if you are talking about that kind of workload. Built to ingest huge data volumes, our solution collects first party, second party, third party, structured, unstructured, known, as well as anonymous attributes. Again, guys, doing all of that is a big deal, and even Microsoft is trying to do the same things. Salesforce has very deep capabilities there. That's why they are enterprise grade CRM vendor. Okay, now we have customer insight. Uncover insights and opportunities with continuous rule-based calculation of customer actions and attributes. This is exactly what Microsoft, we saw in the screenshots of Microsoft CX portfolio as well. They are trying to do similar things. They are trying to build this. SAP already has all of this. Then you have SAP Customer Data Platform is an offering within SAP Business Technology Platform. So this is more of the technical offering, and that's how we would see it. And that's why we were saying that, with Microsoft, that their solution is more of the technical. It's not supposed to be front facing. So when you look at the real engagement solution, there's going to be another solution. This is more of the technical solution. CDP is meant to be slightly more technical solution with one common domain model, the single view of front office, back office, experience data through our solution results in a truly unified customer profile. This is exactly what Microsoft is trying to do as well. Realize synergies in your business by understanding who owns the customer relationship across various business units of a large enterprise. Just one caveat, even though they have sort of e-commerce, but they don't necessarily have kind of PIM. That could be another curveball, for a lot of people who are going to be in the e-commerce space. So there are always going to be gaps with every single solution portfolio. And for those, they are probably going to use third-party, capabilities. Then they are talking about businesses are required to honor the purpose of customer data they collect to build a trust with customers and avoid regulatory issues. Again, when you are going to get into the depth of this, that's where the real play is for SAP. When you are going to get into GDPR, if you are selling in Europe, you need to be careful. You can't do what you can do in the US or Canada, maybe. Canada is also far more strict, unless you are ND, who can do anything, whatever he wants. SAP Customer Data Platform uses a framework to combine your customer's identity and purpose data to truly understand how customers want to engage. So they are sort of building the profile as well as the framework. around their engagement preferences, which is very deep in general. And now AI is going to be far more capable in enabling that capability as well. Again, this is going to be the whole data governance piece is super critical for the GDPR centric workloads as well. So they are saying knowing the purpose of customer data is critical to its orchestration and governance. Our solution merges inbound data to the profile only if the required consent and processing purpose exist, and this is going to be across the channels globally, across the global workload, because you're not supposed to violate that in certain cases, depending upon how restrictive those markets are. And again, this is a very enterprise grade workload, so you need to have the global unification of your customer profiles. 90% of the mid-market customers, they are probably not going to have this, because obviously it gets very expensive. Yeah, the customer data needs to move to the right engagement systems. And when they say engagement systems, these are your sort of the front facing systems. These are going to be your marketing automation systems, depending upon what you are trying to engage with. So this is the very similar pitch as your Microsoft was trying to integrate with a lot of different engagement systems as well. Sometimes you are probably going to use 10 different marketing automation systems across different subsidiaries, depending upon their preferences, because it's very hard to sort of unify the preferences of all of those subsidiaries. So, but you still need the data fabric that can make sure that you are going to have the synchronized customer profiles as well as the controlled release of the content, because otherwise you are going to get the penalties. They have touched on some of other terms such as your zero party data explicitly shared by the customer can be trusted and activated smoothly.
What does zero party data mean, Sam?
They have mentioned here shared by the customer. Yeah, so if customer is providing you the data, they are inputting the details, versus you are sort of gathering it, let's say as part of the marketing hook. When somebody is downloading a case study, they sort of don't know that they are going to be targeted. So that is what is called first party. This is a zero party, meaning I'm providing you, with the trust that you are probably not going to be selling my data, I guess. Okay. Here, create workflows and manage data privacy and governance for multi-brand and multi-region organizations to honor the purpose of the data and orchestrate that data to the appropriate systems. Again, guys, this becomes very, very, very difficult when you are dealing with very complex brands that are going to be across geographies. And even if you're going to be a business that is probably doing $1 billion in revenue, that's a big deal to manage these things. Then they have something called the first is a contextual profile view that extends the core customer master data intended for operational systems such as CRM and ERP that need high quality data. The second is a unified customer profile view, which is more probabilistic based on your precision level and intended for marketing and advertising use cases. And this is where they are sort of augmenting, enriching the data, using many different data sources and trying to create a profile that is going to be meaningful for them from the advertising purposes. That's where the CRM is really strong. What's the time right now? So we have some more time. We can go for one more slide. So here, this is for the Giga product that they have. So here they are talking about SAP Customer Identity and Access Management Solutions for B2C. Enable, this is the B2C, so they do both B2C and B2B. Enable you to create flexible, frictionless, and highly secure front doors to your digital properties. And this is the whole, you sort of have GRC for your internal processes, but then you also need to have the same things for your external processes, right? So that's exactly what your CIAM product is trying to do overall from the customer identity perspective. They are providing you a very controlled access that is controlled by the customer as opposed to controlled by the vendor, and because that is going to be mandated by the compliance from some of the geographies and governments. Here they are talking about registration, login, progressive profiling engagements with speed and efficiency at scale, securely identify online visitors with data federation, single sign-on functionality, and flexible user authentication options. Often equated to brands' digital front door, they are talking about digital front door. And once you sort of provide access to whatever data that you want to provide as the visitor, then you can access any of the digital properties depending upon how you want to access. So as customer, you have complete control on your data as well as access. That's what these solutions are trying to do. Creating an identity typically involves online account registration with CIAM. Brands can quickly and effortlessly build registration screen that sets that render natively across different devices. So again, when you look at those use cases, that's where this is going to be really strong. Permission-based data it collects in profiles that brands can build and enrich over time with engagement systems and orchestrate data between them. When customers return to brands' digital properties, the software locks them in and authenticates them based on their credentials using the traditional username and password method, while also offering social login, biometric, and passwordless authentication options. Now, guys, that's a big deal. And those are the magic links. So again, a lot of platforms are going to be there that may create magic links, but typically that is not necessarily connected with the customer identity across the board. And this is where this is going to provide you that the whole integration of customer identity across these systems. You also have things such as your customers, the ability to create groups such as family, household, and party accounts. When you have to provide or transfer the access, and that's where SAP is really strong. Within the group can be assigned different access levels based on customizable relationship. This feature provides flexibility across industries and use cases. And again, sky's the limit when it comes to the real customer experience use cases. These are the use cases which are going to be really hard to implement if you are going to have very fragmented state of data, as well as processes. And they are talking about industry across industries and use cases from healthcare and utilities to sports, media, and retail. And that's where SAP B2C solution does really well in those spaces. Supports federation standards using the security assertion markup language, which is your SAML, and OpenID Connect protocols. OpenID is big, especially when you talk about the whole, social media logins or Google logins. They are really, really big there. So I think that's pretty much it. We have 3 minutes. I'll open for the commentary.
Obviously it's a strong offering, but it's interesting. I'd never heard of SAP offering a standalone CRM before.
SAP has a lot of products, and
I guess so. Yeah.
Not many people know what all they have.
Yeah. Okay, that makes sense.
More comments, Andy?
Well, more of a question. How do you think it does in the marketplace? Is it? I mean, if it's not as well known, are people buying it? Is it selling, or is it just a side thing?
No, so I would say in terms of revenue, let's talk about hard dollars, right? So the acquired cloud solutions that they have, and that includes your success factors as well. So that may fall into more of the ACM category, but my understanding is that that's a $30 billion business unit. $30 billion, yeah.
Okay.
That's how big this is, yeah.
That shows how much I know.
I mean, not many people know about SAP, how big that is, to be completely honest.
Yeah.
They're really big.
Thanks, son.
Of course. Any other comments, Andy? Good? Okay. Shasta?
I also have a small question. Like, how do businesses kind of decide if they are okay with a CRM module in an ERP, or they will go for a standalone like this that SAP is offering?
Yeah, so very interesting question and good question, I would say. So it depends upon the goals in terms of what you're trying to accomplish from the architecture perspective. Sometimes you would prefer a disconnected sales and marketing state, because what you are trying to do is you need to move your sales and marketing faster, and you don't necessarily care for the correlated data sets where you are going to have control on your cost and traceability, and you don't have issues with your regulatory and compliance. Then your sales and marketing can be disconnected. Okay, but in some industries where you do require that connection, then it becomes a tricky part. Okay, you care for cost, especially if you go to industries such as your manufacturing, where you do require that connection. That some CRM processes may be disconnected. You are doing bunch of campaigns, do whatever you have to, but then when you are serious, when you are somebody's ready to swipe the credit card, then you better do that inside ERP. So again, there is no fixed answer in terms of what is going to be right fit for the businesses. It really depends upon the business model, the kind of transactions that they are processing, what goals they have, from the business model as well.
Okay.
Yeah,
It's like purchasing most any of these types of systems. It's going to depend on the customer's specific requirements. I mean, when it gets right down to it, if everything's equal regarding functionality, and if they desire integration to the customer files in AR in the ERP, then there's some benefits of having a single CRM ERP system. But if that's not of value and functionality isn't available in those ones that are integrated, then standalone is the alternative.
Great points, guys. More comments? All right, guys, then that's a wrap. If you joined for the first time, this was part of our industry series for which we meet every Tuesday at 2 p.m. Eastern. So make sure you guys are going to be here next week. We are going to come back with another solution or the vendor. On that note, thank you so much, everyone, for tuning in today.
Thanks, everyone.
Thank you for listening to another episode of the WBS Podcast. Be sure to subscribe on your favorite podcasting platform so you never miss an episode. For more information on growth strategies for SMBs using ERP and digital transformation, check out our community at WBS.rocks. We'll see you next time.